Hello, everybody. My name's Dwyndl. If we haven't met before, it's so nice to meet you, and I'm glad you're here. Hey, lately I've been putting out some kind of lengthy little things on Facebook, and tonight, for some reason, I thought I'm gonna try to do a video. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? I'll be the only one that watches it. That's all right. Probably even better. But I I've been going through some stuff lately. I kind of had some very bad news a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of let it knock me down for a day or two. And then some good friends reminded me of God's faithfulness, and I started picking myself back up and getting positive and believing God's going to answer some prayers. And He's been doing little things. I still don't know how He's going to solve this one big issue I'm facing right now, but I believe He will because He's God. And but today, to be honest, some stuff kind of hit me again. That same issue plus a couple other things piling on, and to be honest, and right now I'm in some pain. I don't know what I did to my back, but I took off work today to go to the doctor, and my back is killing me. I'm in pain right now, as a matter of fact. But I just want to share a little something, because when I came home this evening tonight, I started reading in Genesis chapter 37, and I read through the story of Joseph. Now, if you don't know this story, it's real simple. 17-year-old kid, had some older brothers, and Joseph was his daddy's favorite. But Joseph was a tattletale. And he went to his brothers and said, hey, I had a dream that someday y'all going to bow down to me. And he did it twice. And they didn't like him. They didn't like him at all. And so one day Joseph went out to check on his brothers, and they said, here come that tattletale. And they decided to kill him. But instead of killing him, they sold him as a slave. Now, when they sold him as a slave, those guys took him to Egypt, and they sold him to a man named Potiphar. And Joseph got there, and Joseph started doing the right things. He was a man of character, and he was a hard worker, and he gained recognition, and he was growing up. And Potiphar was recognizing how good a man Joseph was. But then so did Potiphar's wife. Potiphar's wife looked at Joseph and said, ooh, that's a good-looking boy right there. He built, he fine. And she said, hey, Joseph, come here. We're going to be together. And Joseph said, no, we not. I'm not going to dishonor you. I'm not going to dishonor Potiphar. I'm not going to dishonor God. We're not going to do it. And so Joseph did the right thing and refused to be with his married woman, his boss, his wife. And what did she do? She turned to her husband and said, hey, baby, Joseph tried to attack me. Well, what would you do if you was Potiphar? Your beautiful wife comes to you and says, hey, this servant over here was trying to have sex with me. Well, you're going to believe her, right? So he took Joseph, threw him in prison. So now Joseph is in prison when he didn't do anything wrong. He was trying to do the right thing, and he still went to prison. Now, there he is in prison, and while he's in prison, he gets recognized as a leader. He gets recognized as a man of character, and he's growing up even in the prison. And the Bible says that God blessed him in everything he did. And beyond that, he met these two guys there. One of them was a cupbearer for the king at one time, and the other one was the chief baker for the king at one time. And both of them had dreams. And he told the cupbearer, hey, you're fixing to get out of here. The king's going to put you back in charge. He's going to let you come back and live in the palace again. You're going to be a free man again. However, the other guy, he said, no, you fixing to die. They're going to put you to death. And sure enough, both those came true. He asked the cupbearer, when you go back to the palace, would you tell the king about me? Would you tell Pharaoh about me? And he said, you know I will, Joseph. You my boy. I got you. But what happened when he got back to his life? He forgot all about Joseph. He went 2 years without thinking about Joseph. Didn't mention him at all until the king had a dream. Now, the king had a dream, and nobody could figure out what it meant. So they went and got Joseph. So the cupbearer said, hey, I know a dude. He's in prison. He my boy, but he can tell you what it means. And he went and got Joseph. And when he went and got Joseph, Joseph told the king, you're fixing to have 7 years of incredible crops. You're going to have so much food, you won't know what to do with it. But then you're going to have 7 years of famine, and it's going to be terrible. There won't be any food. So if you want to make it through the second 7 years, you better treat the first 7 years right. So the king took Joseph and put him in charge. He made him the second most powerful man in the nation. And Joseph managed those crops so well that when the second 7 years came along with all the famine, they didn't have to struggle. They had food, and all the other nations were starving. But what happened when that happened? Joseph's brothers came to Egypt begging for food, and they had to bow down to Joseph, just like he dreamed. Now, there's a lot of different lessons we can learn from that story, and there's a lot we like to get out of it. However, Here's the thing that stood out to me, because we like to look at it and say, well, God took Joseph, and even though Joseph went through some very hard times, he went to prison, he got forgot about, and all these things, and he had a woman lie about him and throw him in prison and all that. He was doing the right thing. Other than being a tattletale and being kind of a naive 17-year-old that would tell your older brothers about those dreams, Joseph really did the right stuff. I mean, he made the right decisions and tried to be a man of character, and he still at times suffered for that, so it seemed. But yet the entire time, God was setting it up so that he could be the man to save a nation from starvation. When I look at his life and look at mine, I would love to be able to say, well, I'm going through this difficult time right now simply because I'm doing the right thing. But the truth is, I'm going through this difficult time right now partly because of some bad decisions I made in my past. And they were my choices. They were wrong. And I have a tendency to fight with depression, and I have a tendency to get down on myself, especially about my bad decisions I've made before. But here's what I believe God's been telling me lately, because I see him working. I see him working in the lives of my two boys. I see him working in the life of my wife. I see him working in my own life spiritually. I see so many good things happening, yet I've got these certain little areas where I feel like I'm being attacked, where I feel like I'm really struggling. And here's what I think God's been telling me lately through my Bible study and prayer time and through my friends and family who love me. I think he's looking at me and he's saying, you know what? You did mess up in the past. And there are some consequences for your decisions. But I want you to know that I love you. And I'll always be here with you. And you're going to get through this. And let me tell you, folks, if you're going through a hard time right now, whatever it is, whether it's of your own making or it's because Satan's attacking or you're going through a test, let me tell you, God's still God. He's still good. He still loves you. And he'll get you through it if you'll trust him and not turn away.